Hey, everybody, and welcome back to The Whole Package by Premier Packaging. I'm your host, Billy Watkins, and today's guest is Jill Gaynor.
Hello again.
Hello again.
Long time no see.
It's been about, and this surprised me, it's been about a year since the last time you were here. Doesn't seem like that long ago, right?
Actually, I think it was like last month, but we had another segment.
Quite a lot has changed, right?
Yes.
Since then.
Yes.
You became CEO of Premier in March of 2024.
Who knew? Not many. That's the rumor.
Remind our audience of who you are, where you're from, how you...
Jill Gaynor, married to John Gaynor, originally from Louisville, Kentucky, born and raised here. Been with John, we've been married 36 blissful years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Never a dull moment.
And you've had several roles here at Premier. Talk about that a little bit.
When Premier started with the guys, I've always been kind of in and out on an as-needed basis. When they came up with the name Premier Packaging, I get John, hey, need a logo. Here's the name. Hey, need this. Hey, need some brochures. Hey, need this. With my background, I was able to help them. And then as we acquired buildings or, hey, need some furniture, need to remodel, whatever it is, I was always in the background, kind of stepping in and out. Hey, we need a website. How do we do this? Because my background is, obviously business, but my background was marketing, work ad agencies, all of that fun stuff. So.
Oh, hey, we need something called a website.
Yeah.
Back in the day. I like that.
Yeah.
What's one surprising fact about you that most people don't know? We're getting...
Fun fact, Friday. Gosh, I don't know.
I'm delving deep
talking
here.
About an odd one with Mallory. I don't know if I want to say it or not.
Some things are for broadcast, some are not. Yeah.
I do have a dish fetish.
Okay. Like plates. Like
yes.
you're into
place settings. And yes, a long time ago, there was an author, Carolyn Rome, I believe is how you say her last name. It was an Oprah Winfrey. She was an Oprah Winfrey favorite. And it was a book that she talked about entertaining. When you entertain people, and literally old school of setting a table. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take much, but it's a gift to your guests. And for some reason that just stuck with me. So whenever we entertain, I loved setting a table and making it nice, and you don't do it very often.
And no,
we don't do it very often.
And would you have? I mean, are you like 4 plates deep sort of thing, and
John,
silverware?
Yes, like so. The very first Thanksgiving that we hosted, John and I hosted for both sides of our families. I was so excited. Boxes would be showing up, and I had specific dishes. I had chargers. I had these beautiful leaf plates. I had, and it was a sit
for
down.
harvest. Yeah.
Yes, and it was a sit down, dinner. And as large as our family is, I got a lot of complaints. This is way too many dishes. We need a buffet, whatever it is.
Right.
But I adapted. But I don't know. There's just something about that just making something a little nice, a little elevated. It doesn't happen very often in our crazy, fast-paced world that most people live in. So taking that moment to
certainly the
make that
art
effort.
of sitting down and having it's something Europeans are a lot better at than we are. We're kind of fast food nation, and they take their time with their meals.
And there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, there's a lot of takeaways when I've traveled to Europe that I try to bring back here and appreciate to that point. When they take a lunch hour, what I've observed, they take that lunch hour. They're not on their phone. They're not in their car.
No, they're
smoking,
reading a book. They got a glass of wine. It looks awesome.
They're reading a book.
Yeah.
They're having a conversation with someone else.
Yep.
They're joie de vivre. They're enjoying the moment. So I think we can learn from that.
Something we can all learn, and can be helped by having a plate fetish.
Yeah. Since then, now that I've gotten a little bit older, I've downsized on some of the plates. There are some things that I still haven't given up. So.
Yeah, but you can pass those down. They can stay around.
I've passed and donated to people who are using them. So.
Very nice. Also, can you bring us up to speed on what all has changed for you since the last time you were on the podcast? I mean, obviously, the position changed.
Yeah, it's been busier. For those, Premier employees that know me, I have walk around with a big question mark on my forehead. Always inquisitive, asking questions, always like, how can we do better? Communication is huge. I always bring up the point that my kids used to always, or they probably still do, always say, Mom, you've repeated that 10 times. You've told me that 10 times. Well, at Premier and how fast-paced we are and how much we're moving and grooving and the magnitude of our business, we can't communicate enough. We can't repeat ourselves enough because, as you know, people hear things differently. They process things differently. So just that constant communication, I really focus on, and continuing to bring our teams together, continuing to collaborate, continuing to encourage that, not work in a silo, if you will, having open minds. We might have what I call our therapy sessions where we might, get some stuff off our chest, which is great. But I also challenge our teams to come with solutions. Right. We know
Don't
the problem.
Just complain. Yeah.
But let's come with some solutions too. How can we figure this out? How can we do better? And John and I have to be, you have to be open-minded. I mean, if we weren't open-minded, we wouldn't be here today like this. So we're ever evolving, and we have to. We're very adaptable, and you have to adapt. You have to adapt to the changing environments, the ways that people purchase things today, all the intricacies of that. So it's exciting. It's never a dull moment. There's always something new, always something new to learn.
With all of the change that Premier has undergone since the beginning, how has your vision for Premier changed over that time and evolved? You weren't. I'm sure you weren't thinking.
It's still holy smokes. What did we do? So we never ever, in a million years, ever thought that it would be at the level that it is. I mean, I would think that when we started, we were thrilled to have what we had and never thought we'd ever be out of the state of Kentucky. So the opportunities that we've had, the strategic risks that we've taken, mistakes we've made along the way, all part of the spirit of entrepreneurship. Still going to mess up, but that's how you learn. Right. And that's how our teams learn. How can we be better? How can we make something easier? I'm all about, I think some people have picked up my expression, not always having our hair on fire. How can we make things easier that we're not always having our hair on fire? Yeah. So constantly examining that and taking a look at that as well.
Because there's nothing worse than the smell of burnt hair.
No, and I've experienced that too. So,
did you ever have any inclining at the beginning that you would that someday you would be the CEO of this company?
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I've always been I've been the executive developer of human development for Gaynor Enterprises. Quite the lead. Right. Quite a challenge at times. But no, never. John and I have always been partners personally and partners professionally. So I'm very team oriented. Hard for me to say I did something. I'm always more we did this because, quite frankly, we could not have done any of this without you and everybody involved.
Oh, you would have been fine without me.
No, down to the custodian. I mean, every single person has value at Premier, and it is not unappreciated every day. And just like, we might have some challenges and difficulties, just like you would in a family. You might have a few heated discussions for a minute, but at the end of the day, we all come together and figure it out. That's all part of it.
Has being CEO, is it what you expected? Have there been surprises?
I go in with things with zero expectations.
Okay, that's a good way to...
I go in, I don't know what would have been different. Having the decision making, still making the final decisions. I'm pretty decisive. People that have worked with me, I'll look at things at all different angles, and then I'll make the best decision given the information that I have. Yep. My approach might be somewhat different sometimes, in that anytime there's a problem, I always take a look at who does this affect. So making sure, and it's not always perfect, but making sure that I've considered every angle. You know, if you flip a switch on something, what's the domino effect?
Right.
And making sure that, you know, I'm never going to be an expert in everything. I've said that in every industry I've been in. So I rely on our experts in the areas of the business, and I value the feedback.
Impossible to be an expert in
No,
everything.
you can't
And that's
be.
why we have good people in place.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Oh, this is a weird one. All right, so if
I'm ready. Okay.
in the movie version of your life,
Oh my, there's a movie
and
version.
well, why the hell not? You know, something on Netflix, or I mean, all the streaming. We could do this. Who would play you?
You know, I looked at that question, and there are some stories I have. There is a story where someone thought I was Trisha Yearwood, and I did have to sign an autograph for this person to let me go on my way. That was rather interesting.
That's kind of fun. I somewhat get it. Yeah, but she's not an actress.
They did not ask me to sing, thankfully, because I said no. Yeah, so recently when I was traveling, I had a gentleman tell me that I look like actress Laura Linney. I said, thank you. I don't necessarily see it, but she's lovely. She's an
and a
Ozark.
good actress. And
a good actress,
powerful.
yeah.
I want more like Meryl Streep and the Devil Wears Prada sort of thing. You know, that's
So
where
you see me as Miranda? Is that what you're
no,
saying?
No, but I just think that for
You
a movie,
see me as Miranda
for
Priestley?
a movie, I think that would be better. And you dress me down for something I'm wearing or whatever, you know. And yeah,
And
that's
do
what I'm
this,
thinking.
and do this with my glasses.
Yes. Cerulean. Where are we at in the storyline? Do you think this is? I mean, is this the opening act, or are we well into it?
I'm going to say this is the beginning of a third act.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say in my life. So, and you know, within the business, you know, we're ever evolving. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. Finished with being an executive director of human development, all very successful candidates, you know, that have come from that department in my life. And, you know, I'll speak, I think women in general, when you've been focused on family and you have your career, and then when the dust settles with that, it's like, what's that next chapter? And I'll speak for myself. A lot of times you get a little lost.
Yeah.
So, you know, my quote unquote midlife crisis at the time was started another company, and it was successful. You know, I knew, you know, you don't think a lot about what you want,
Right.
because you're always, women I think are more nurturing in general, and you're always like, you know, helping your family, supporting your spouse, you know, whatever it is. So, you know, when you have to turn inward and look at you, that can be hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard for me. I'll say that. That's hard for me. Like, what do I want? Well, I haven't thought that way in a long time. So starting a company at the time, and it was successful, obviously not at the magnitude, but starting it at an older age and with nothing. A lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And then here we are today, always been dedicated to Premiere and asked to be more in a forward-facing role. I was immensely flattered and excited about the challenge.
Right.
So, you know, always like a challenge, always like to see what's going to happen next. Guess it's also being married to John Gaynor.
And I hope the sequel is as good as the first one. You know, and I can't.
Thank you.
You know,
I think so.
Coming to theaters next summer.
Yeah,
You know, we'll do.
I think so. I think so. I don't think it's going to be Armageddon-esque. You know, I think it's going to be a great series coming up.
Do you have any thoughts on who could I get like a bit part in this thing? You know, who would play me? Do you have any? No.
I don't know. Who do you think would play you? What kind of
I
actor?
have no idea.
Or, you know, what
Gilbert
kind of...
Godfrey died. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that'll be a next session. You know, who do
We'll
we think
figure
would
that
play
out.
in the movie? Who would be his character? Who would be his actor in the sequel or in the next chapter?
No feedback.
Give them a minute. They haven't thought of that.
Yeah, call it out whenever you. So we've always been kind of a forward-thinking company, driving innovation, fostering a dynamic company culture. What recent innovations, initiatives are you particularly excited about?
That's a loaded question.
It's a leading question, isn't it? And loaded.
There's a lot of things, some things I can't really talk about now.
Yeah.
But super excited about some things that we're rolling out for 2025. IT has been chipping away at something that we're going to roll out in 2025 that's going to make our processes and stuff much easier, much clearer. So pumped about that. I just recently came off a director's meeting this week and absolutely loved it. We haven't been together in a while, and we're going to start establishing a cadence of that. It's amazing at what really listening and learning what all these departments are doing to make things better and make things easier. I mean, the intelligence of our people is like unbelievable. Like, our distribution team, purchasing and planning team, what they built, I'm sure working with IT as well, as dashboards of controlling inventory better. I mean, just unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, just not mind-boggling, but just I'm overwhelmed at just how smart these people are.
And it kind of happens at a grassroots kind of. It's not like we're coming up with this stuff and developing it ourselves for ourselves.
Yes, because we're not a cookie cutter company.
Right.
I mean, that's what sets us apart. With we're not just cookie cutter day in day out same
buying
thing.
Something out of the box and
that makes
plugging
us.
it in.
That's what makes us different. I mean, it's custom. How do you standardize custom? That's pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
So them being creative, the creativity that I've seen, in this meeting, the collaboration, the discussion, something that I did a little differently, with these teams is I said, okay, let's come up with our goals for next year. Instead of it coming from the top down, okay, what do you think?
Right.
After we've had these discussions, so what do you think our number one goal is going to be? So collaborating with them, seeing how it all comes together, how we come up with these goals. We want to make these goals reachable. We don't want to make them out of the you want to make it reachable, but you also want it to be a challenge. You don't want to make it where it's impossible and you're going to be defeated. That's not the whole point of having a goal, right?
Attainable, but puts us to
right. So there's some things that I guess I've brought to the table that are a little different and unique. Not necessarily unique in business wise, but maybe a little different and unique to what we've done in the past with Premier. And again, I appreciate the open-mindedness of our people and thinking about it and challenging me. Well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Let's talk about it. There's no right answer. So, or wrong answer, but having that collaboration to come up with a good answer,
right.
For our company. So,
I mean, and not everything works, but then you can change. I mean, we're not
right.
locked in.
And it's that 80-20 rule. Certain things have to change to be better. Not everybody's going to be happy all the time, but the changes or the policies in place or the procedures, the whole goal is for it to be easier for everybody.
Right. You have a very strong background in corporate communications and in marketing. The last time we talked, you spoke in glowing terms about growing Premier's marketing department.
Yes.
How's Premier's marketing approach evolved since then?
I'm very proud of our marketing department. They have grown quite a bit, bringing some things in-house. They're a great team that is very collaborative, very inventive, very creative. A lot of people sometimes think marketing in general is very gray, right? It's like, it's an opinion, you throw it out there, what happens. So behind business in general, and in addition to marketing and with the technology today, everything is data driven. Mm-hmm. So if an idea in the past, to do some kind of marketing campaign, you just got opinions and you're like, no, it didn't work. Well, why didn't it work? Well, it just didn't work. Okay, well, Now everything we do is driven by data. Hard to argue with data.
Right.
This was successful. And, back in the day, I didn't have all this technology. So concepts with marketing and advertising and branding, all of that has stayed the same. How it's executed, that's what's changed a lot with all the social media and the technology and the data tracking. So, in my opinion, we're able to react quicker, make changes a lot quicker to get better results and tweak things as we're developing. So collaborating a lot with our sales team, training a lot with our sales team and the understanding of the tools and what this data means, translating it for them, how they can be better at selling, who's interested in what in their markets, what are the current trends. There's a lot that marketing does
You wouldn't even think about
that you don't think about
until you just started explaining it to me.
Yeah, marketing. It traditionally people think, oh, marketing's just fluff.
Right.
There's a science behind it. There's a strategy behind it. There's a lot more that goes into it. I mean,
it's not a billboard or a
well,
radio
it can
ad.
be.
It can be,
but there's a strategy behind it.
Yeah.
You just don't throw your picture up there smiling going, look at Billy here. There's a method.
That,
no, but I mean, there's a methodology behind every action and every strategy that you do, and it's tough. I mean, sales is tough in general.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was in sales and advertising, selling an intangible product, selling a thought or an idea or a concept and putting a dollar amount on it.
Right.
Pretty tough.
Yeah.
Not that it's not difficult in what we do. We're selling services, creative thoughts and ideas, putting numbers to it, the value adds that we bring that we may or may not charge for. It's hard. Sales is hard in general. It's tough in general.
Are you still as hands-on with marketing now that you're CEO, or having such a well-developed, talented
They are
team
a well-oiled machine, but I do still engage. Mallory and I still meet on a monthly basis. We still strategize, but they are a well-oiled machine. They've done well.
There's one. We've done 5,000 of these things, and she's never been on. Can you say something about that?
I don't know. I'm gonna pull a John Gaynor. Mallory, I think you might need to be on one of these episodes.
Let's do a podcast.
You might need to come in front of the camera. You made me do it.
Twice now, and look at this. Not once for her, but anyway. So over the past 30 years, Premier has grown from a small operation into an international company.
Who knew?
Who knew?
We didn't.
Almost 1,000 employees. Places all over North America. If you could travel back to 94 and talk to your younger self for 20 minutes, what would you tell her about her future?
Buckle up.
Right, yeah, get ready.
Buckle up. Wouldn't believe it. My younger self wouldn't have believed it. Never thought in a million years. We still wake up every day and pinch ourselves and go, holy moly.
Yeah. Is it a little bit of both? Have you shaped it more, or has it shaped you?
Ooh, that's a deep question.
I don't even think that was on the sheet. Yeah,
no, I don't think it was. I think you came up with that all on your own. Excellent question. I'd say both.
Yeah.
Both.
That's the good answer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you think your younger self she would have no clue, right? What
My
was in
younger
store?
self was not as confident. Still struggle with that a little bit today, but my younger self was. You're young, you're naive, you don't know what you're doing. I grew up happy with what I had. My goal was to get a job, and I was thrilled to have a job that had benefits. Beyond thrilled. And I got a job within the industry that I was hopeful that I wanted to be in. So very lucky. John didn't wake up and graduate and say, oh my God, I want to get in the box company. We, at the time when you went to school, it was like, get a job.
Right.
So, we were getting married. We were young.
You have to make a living, yeah.
Got to make a living, got to survive on your own. So different mentality maybe than today. And it just kind of evolves. And, best laid plans, we've even talked that with our kids. Like, sometimes they're like, well, I didn't meet this goal. This is where I wanted to be. And it's like, but this is life. Life's not that structured. Life is very unstructured. And
So many things you
sometimes
can't
you got to
control.
enjoy
Yeah.
the ride and see where you land. It's meant to be.
So describing Premier's future in one word.
Limitless.
Limitless. Yes, that's a good word.
Thank you.
The sky is the limit.
But I needed one word.
I took more. What would you? Legacy-wise, it's a little early to be talking about legacies, but I mean,
Yeah,
as
still sitting right here.
I know.
Yeah.
but what do you think? You want that to be?
And we've actually thought about it a little bit, and we don't have a decision, but John and I are looking inward. We're looking at our people. We're looking for that next generation to continue with the vision that we have at Premier, to continue evolving it to being bigger and better. We're constantly looking inward. We're looking for those leaders. We're looking for those opportunities. We've got, like I said, tremendous amount of talent. And I challenge some of our, I'll say, more seasoned employees that have been in this industry, John being one, that know this stuff in their sleep. And I'm constantly challenging, like, our plant managers and our more seasoned employees. How do I get that out? How do I get that out of your head? How do I get that out of there that you just automatically think about
Right.
it and teach it to our next generation?
Right.
So I'm constantly challenging our team with that. What's the answer? Time, commitment, taking the time to teach. That's important because this industry is getting older as a whole.
Yeah.
So how do we take all of this knowledge and transfer it to the next generation? That's a loaded question.
It's a
Easier
tough one.
said than
It
done.
is definitely easier said
Because
than
you do
done.
it in your sleep. A lot of things you do it in your sleep. How do you learn about the equipment? How do you learn about what's the new equipment? How does it work? What are the problems with certain types of equipment? Why would you recommend this equipment versus another piece of equipment? What about this process? What about the technology of the drawings? Is there software that's better? What's the up and coming software? How can we do better? I got a laundry list, but getting that education out of our seasoned veterans, if you will, in this industry, I keep challenging them with that every day. It's important.
But
Don't
also
do it, but teach it.
teach it, right? It's also points out that it's a terribly, not terribly. It's a wonderfully diverse industry to get into with a lot of different opportunities. And working at a place like Premier, working at Premier, you got a ton of opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you.
Limitless. Right?
Limitless. That's right. And we always encourage that too. We always encourage, I had a conversation with Mallory, it's like, what do you want long term? I'm not going to tell that on the podcast, what you want long term, but, always encouraging people, well, let me help you get there. I don't look at it as a threat, right? I look at it as, let me help you get there, because I'm not going to be there all the time. Let me help you get to this point. And so that's stuff that we're working with our leaders and management too. Is like, okay, what do you want? What do you want in 10 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Okay, well, let's talk about it. Let's figure out how to get there.
This nationally syndicated podcast of packaging, right? Oh, like if you were asking me,
Yeah.
right? Full time, me just like 8 hours a day. On could we make that?
We can talk
happen?
about it.
All right,
We can talk
good.
about it.
Whew, I don't know if I could do that, but yeah, I'd
A little
try.
bit added pressure.
I'd
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
All right, limitless.
Limitless.
I like it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. I haven't even been paying attention. We're all good, right? Did anybody come up with anything? Who's playing me?
Are there other
No?
questions?
We're breaking the fourth wall here on this show more than we ever have. Huh? Oh, a young Bill Murray. Okay, thank you. Like Ghostbuster, like Stripes.
I like Bill Murray.
Stripes, Bill Murray.
Favorite movie. That's awesome.
All right, thanks. Appreciate that. I am Billy Watkins, everybody, the host of The Whole Package by Premier Packaging. Jill Gaynor, our CEO. Thanks for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.
Do you have comments, questions, or ideas about this topic? If so, we'd like to hear from you. Please visit primpack.com/podcast to let us know what you think. Thanks.